Spotlight is proudly sponsored by HEC Media, St. Louis's home for arts, education, and culture.
What do we need to do to shift power? What do we need to do to shift resources?
We wanted something that would sort of capture what the feeling is for us.
You have to put in the time, you have to put in the effort.
Today on Spotlight, transforming our communities by helping Black and Latino entrepreneurs succeed. Plus, find out how people in St. Louis struggling with obesity are turning their lives around. And then 2 career mushers take you on a year in the life of snow dogs and cold temperatures. But first, meet St. Louis native Chenelle Johnson, who was recently a contestant on The Voice. It's Sunday and you're watching the multiple Emmy Award-winning Spotlight.
I auditioned for The Voice 4 different times. Before, I did not make it even past the first audition. When they gave me the call and told me that I was going to be on The Voice, I was so excited. That was an experience that I'll never forget, and I can't explain into words how I felt in that moment, but I was definitely overwhelmed.
Shadale's journey on The Voice began with the 2021 season when she ruled the stage with That's What I Like by Bruno Mars.
Strawberry champagne all night. Looking for you, that's what I like.
Sadly, my team is full, and I can't get this button to work. Her team is full, too, so you got the equivalent of a 4-chair turn, no. It's time. Who do you pick as your coach?
Team John. Working with John Legend was a dream of mine.
Getting on The Voice is hard, but staying on The Voice is even harder.
Being on The Voice is difficult because it's not only stressful mentally, but, you know, physically as well. You have to make sure that you take care of yourself, make sure that you get enough sleep, make sure that you're eating correctly. I have to make sure that I'm learning the songs. Then you have the pressures of singing in front of these icons, legendary artists that I looked up to since I was a child, and singing their songs, and now I'm singing a song in front of them. So all of those pressures mixed in together in this big old melting pot. It was extraordinary.
Don't you worry about a thing.
John Legend coaching me, he definitely pushed me as an artist. And that's one of the reasons I chose him, because I felt like he would push me to my limits. He's very hard to please. And he doesn't just choose any and everybody, so the fact that he turned around for me was a huge honor. He's a genius, and it always worked out. He's like, don't be comfortable, give us that energy.
But lack of energy is not an issue for Shadale. Music and singing is in Shadale's blood. Born in St. Louis, Missouri, she began singing at the church her grandfather pastored.
I've been in this industry for like 20 years. My whole family sings, so music has always been a part of my life.
Later, when Shadale was still a child, her parents moved to Atlanta, Georgia.
I would sing in church. My parents were pastors.
She continued to pursue music throughout her elementary and high school years.
My parents would take me to different talent shows, different events around the city.
After graduation, she began to branch out.
I would do gigs on the weekend. I was in a corporate band, which we would perform for weddings, business parties.
There's no place I can hide.
I was with a group called the Gospel People. We traveled overseas, spreading the gospel and giving them a bit of our culture, inviting them into our gospel world. I performed in Beirut, Lebanon for 3 years, so I'll come, sing Beyonce, Rihanna, Madonna. It's their own little Vegas. So I feel like that really prepared me for The Voice And being on stage constantly, it allowed me to grow as an artist.
Music was a constant source of strength.
It was my comfort zone. That was the only thing that was consistent in my life.
I remember years ago, someone told me I should take caution when it comes to love. I did.
When I chose the song Impossible, I chose the song because there was a point in my life where my dreams did seem impossible.
In Atlanta, her family fell on hard times.
At one point, we ended up homeless.
Tell them all I know now, shout it from the rooftops.
But in spite of those difficult times, her parents never gave up on her talent.
Be impossible, 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 impossible. Oh, and now all this.
They would continue to push me and support me for my dreams and take me to little showcases. And I used to sing that song at a mall in the food court. That was a full circle moment for me. I wanted to sing that song in relation to that moment in my life where my dreams were unreal and they were out of reach. But now I'm singing it in front of a national audience. That's when I decided this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
And she hasn't looked back. Shadale knows it takes more than talent to be successful. It takes commitment to your profession.
You have to put in the time, you have to put in the effort, and don't just learn songs and sing it just because you sound good, but have something to say when you go on that stage. Grow as a person. It's not just a song, it's a lifestyle.
I remember years ago, someone told me I should take caution when it comes to love. I did.
HEC Media. Recognized, celebrated, honored time and again for excellence in the industry. Find all of the award-winning content at hecmedia.org.
Charlie Cooksey, founder of We Power, spends her time trying to make her community a more equitable place for all.
What do we need to do to shift power? What do we need to do to shift resources so that more folks who look like me, more folks who come from areas like North St. Louis City have the resources and are able to activate the power necessary to transform our futures and our communities?
To address these questions, We Power developed Elevate Elevar, an accelerator program to help Black and Latinx entrepreneurs succeed.
We came up with the name Elevate Elevar for a couple of reasons. The first reason is that we believe in the catalytic potential of Black and Latinx business owners, but also community members, because they are both. And on top of that, Elevate is helping someone sort of reach a higher point with the right resources and support and really belief behind them. And Elevar is elevate in Spanish.
We really believe entrepreneurship is a vehicle to wealth building, and not just individual wealth building, but community wealth building.
We all deserve a space and place for community members to come together, to dream of a better future where we're able to have our full humanity recognized, and then to build the power necessary to transform our neighborhoods and ultimately transform St. Louis.
From an early age, Charlie recognized that not all communities have the same resources. And after returning home from college and finding that not much had changed, she got right to work.
One thing that hadn't changed was the resilience and brilliance of my neighbors, of my elders. And so I was at a neighborhood association meeting and I got voluntold to be the vice president. They shared that they had a beautiful and visionary strategic plan for how to transform our neighborhood. And the only thing that was getting in the way of this plan coming to life was the resources, the power, the connections to be able to advocate and organize to make sure that this plan was something that became part of our daily lives. And so that really sparked the idea for We Power. And so I think the work that we're doing at We Power is all about that. It's about being unapologetic, about saying that Black and Latinx communities deserve resources, not equal resources, but equitable resources.
When we help entrepreneurs, our goal is to help the community, right? Because our entrepreneurs are a part of that community. And we know power, money, and resources are not sustained when it's done so individually. So our goal is collective wealth building.
For them to pour into me the knowledge and the resources and the tools to become successful, to create generational wealth, is just mind-blowing, and I don't take it lightly.
WePower supports entrepreneurs in a holistic way by recognizing the whole person.
Each entrepreneur gets a wellness stipend. Some of them use it for therapy, others use it to buy bikes and kayaks, but we really want them to know that, yes, entrepreneurship is bumpy, lumpy, tough, and rough, but it's even more so when you don't take care of yourself. In addition to that, we have one-on-one business coaching. So every entrepreneur gets a business coach, as well as a team of mentors who support them with their business goals. In addition to that, on Thursdays, we're in class all day learning about investment readiness and what that means.
I think as entrepreneurs, you're alone a lot of the times, and you don't have people that support you or that you can vent to, because a lot of people don't know what you're going through or can understand it. So that's one thing I am very grateful for, is that I have a support system now that I can call and ask for advice, and they give me honest feedback.
Every day is different, but our goal is to always try to figure out the needs of our entrepreneurs. Our accelerator runs from 3 to 6 months, with most of the programming happening in about a 3-month chunk. And we go through everything from marketing to operations to human resources to really help entrepreneurs not only get the things they need to grow and scale on a personal level, but on a business level too. And our biggest goal, however, is to help them add capacity so they're not just working in the business, but they can work on the business.
The people that teach the course, it was amazing to learn from them as far as marketing and HR resources and how to deal with our business day to day.
Early on, businesses tend to struggle with how do you know what to tackle first? So we really try to give them structure and think about what is your vision? How do you see yourself growing? And providing them with that coaching and that consulting in order to get to that end goal. You need a team to have a successful business, and it is not enough to have the vision of your business, your big plans all in your head or whatnot, right? That is literally something that is collective, and you need a community to do it with you.
The more people we have with varied ideas, varied backgrounds, the better I think we become as a community.
Elevate Elevar has no plans to slow down. In fact, they're gearing up to lift up many more entrepreneurs in the future.
Our hopes and goals for the accelerator is to help entrepreneurs build community wealth for their families, for their communities, and have generational wealth, not just for their generation, but for generations to come.
Scan the QR code on your screen to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram.
Sharice Hogan decided now is the time.
Ready.
She's ready to live healthier in the new year. For the sake of her family, Sharice no longer wants to struggle with the hardships of obesity and high blood pressure.
My grandkid, just being a grandparent and having to get out there and run around with them and be liable for them.
So she's changing her life by having bariatric or weight loss surgery with the help of bariatric surgeon Dr. Matthew Lang at Mercy Hospital, St. Louis.
Ready to do this?
I'm ready.
He's the medical director of the bariatric surgery program.
Today, 6 little incisions, 2 on the right, 2 in the middle, 2 on the left.
Lang is preparing her for the laparoscopic gastric sleeve surgery.
Cutting a portion of my stomach off.
About 85% of the stomach is removed so that it takes on the shape of a tube or sleeve. The gastric sleeve restricts the amount of food that can be eaten at one time. It's one of several surgeries and non-surgical weight loss options offered at the Mercy Bariatric Center at Mercy Hospital, St. Louis. In October of 2021, the center became the first and only one in the state to receive national accreditation for both bariatric surgery and obesity medicine.
What that means is everyone that comes in doesn't have to have surgery. There's lots of different options, but our program is officially recognized, and we have all the resources in place, not only to get you through your surgical journey, but also if surgery is not right for you, then we have a very capable and a very comprehensive medical weight loss program as well that's staffed by a whole separate team of physicians that specialize in weight loss, medical weight loss, as well as a team that will help us with exercise physiology, and it just helps to mold everything into one big program.
Sharice has experienced many months of services when her journey started in April 2021.
I had to do 6 months of nutrition,
That's to make sure she's a good candidate for this December surgery. Because once Dr. Lang's job here is done, it's up to Charisse under Dr. Lang's guidance. She'll be on a strict meal plan that will hopefully lead to success, which may look something like this. Tracy Mazinas is also Dr. Lang's patient who also had the gastric sleeve surgery. Her surgery was in April of 2021. Here she is before the procedure, obese with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and sleep apnea.
My family, we have a lot of heart issues. My mother had high blood pressure, high cholesterol, just didn't want to have the same health issues. Two, because of my son, because he is so young, I wanted to be around for him. Also, a lot of things I couldn't do with him that I did with my older two kids, little things that you don't think about, like running around the playground or getting on a ride at a carnival or, taking him to Six Flags or an amusement park and just not being able to do that with him.
Since the surgery, Tracy has been disciplined with her diet. She's eating small portions and eating healthy. For exercise, she simply walks whenever she gets the chance.
So far, I've lost 105 pounds.
Along with the pounds, her health problems are gone. And she has a little more weight to lose, along with plans to fulfill a 2022 New Year's resolution.
To start the strength training with just the weights, that is my one goal to do.
With every single day, Tracy proves surgery can only be part of the solution. A New Year's resolution takes dedication and patience, whether someone has surgery or not.
The New Year's resolutions are always a tricky topic because everyone always tries to change everything at once, and it gets overwhelming, and 99% of people end up quitting their resolution within the first month. So one of the biggest things that I always recommend to patients, especially on our first visit, is changing things one baby step at a time. By breaking it down into little more manageable, more reasonable bite-sized pieces like that, I found that people are able to do a lot better and they're able to maintain their motivation and their drive a lot better without getting overwhelmed.
For more information, visit hecmedia.org.
Inside the Telephone Museum, later on Spotlight. The idea of sled dogs has been around for thousands of years. Now these energetic canines are being highlighted in a new book, Dogs on the Trail, A Year in the Life, written by mushers Blair Braverman and Quince Mountain. In this conversation, we discuss what the dogs do each season and why this is a sport that's easy to fall in love with.
Mushing is one of those things that most people never get a chance to encounter. It seems so exotic if you have never seen sled dogs yourself. So we wanted something that would sort of capture what the feeling is for us. And we decided to follow a year in the life of a dog team because unlike, other winter sports like skiing or snowmobiling or ice fishing or whatever people are doing, sled dogs are year round. You do not park them in the garage the rest of the year. So we have winters that look like this. Then we have something we call mud season, which is when all the snow melts. It is our version of spring. We have summer, which is, a time for splashing in lakes and rolling around in fields and wearing daisy crowns if you're a fashionable flame.
They tolerate summer. They're a little okay, when's it gonna get colder?
Yeah, they're a little impatient. And then that brings us to fall, which is where we are now. And we start running with carts and bikes and scooters. In addition to following the team through the course of a year, the cycle of a year in this book, we also have profiles of individual dogs.
So the Iditarod is this grueling 1,000-mile race across the Alaskan wilderness. Tell me about the physical and emotional journey of competing in the Iditarod.
When I first got into mushing, I write about this a little bit in the book too. I didn't want to race at all. I didn't get it because I was like, I love being in the woods with dogs. Why would I turn that into a competition? No dog could ever be a loser. It just it was like a different mindset. I was like, this is not for me. I just want to go camping with my dogs. And, now I think, I just didn't get it because when I was friends with another musher who was like, come to a race. And as soon as I got there, I was like, oh, I pictured like some really competitive, like people are ranking dogs, I don't know. And it actually just is like a chance for the community to come together. You're seeing other dog teams. You can explore a brand new trail and you get a map so you don't have to worry about like road crossings. If you have even a tiny question, there's 1 million volunteer veterinarians there who want to like teach you everything. It's not easy necessarily, but it's a very fundamental way to go. Like if you want to go 300 miles or 500 miles or 1,000, like it would be so hard to set up that journey from home with all the road crossings and all the like resupplies and what if a dog gets tired and, they want to stop running, but other dogs want to keep running. And when you're in a race, you get to have that journey and it's like set up for you. And all you think about is being on that trail with your team and the other things around it are taken care of. So when we talk about racing, just in case anyone had the same idea about it that I did, it's not like, oh, we're racing our dogs to see who's a good dog and who's not. Like, it's not like that at all. It's like a chance to have an adventure with them in a structure that, allows us to really focus on that one thing.
Scan the QR code on your screen with your phone's camera to watch the full interview and find out why they don't get nervous when their partner is racing alone on the Iditarod. Or just head to hecmedia.org.
HEC has been bringing you positive programming and award-winning content for decades. Arts, education, culture, in-depth discussions, films, and more. All in one place, hecmedia.org.
We're here at Houska Gallery with our new exhibits for the winter. We have Wild Thing, which is our winter group show. And downstairs, we have Ken Conchal's photographic exhibit, Edifice Complex. So for Wild Thing, we wanted to come up with a concept that was very accessible for all of our artists. During this time, we wanted to feature a nice sampling of our current artists, as well as inviting new artists to participate. We decided to go with the theme of Wild Thing after discussing different ideas with the team of what was going on this year collectively with a lot of our artists. What we had seen was a lot of experimentation, a lot of new ways of working and thinking about their work, and maybe as a result of people just wanting to work a bit more freely, experimenting with new things, and also a way to reflect the time of being a bit pent up, wanting to celebrate, wanting the holiday time, and especially the experience of being at a gallery, one of being a bit wild.
In addition to the group show, our featured artist this winter is photographer Ken Conchal. In his exhibit Edifice Complex, which is located in our downstairs gallery, we join him in investigating the different sides of architecture in St. Louis today. It is no secret that the city of St. Louis prides itself on the rich history of its architecture. Ken Conchal aims to create compositions in the buildings that aren't immediately apparent to the eye. So when first taking a step into the exhibit, we can immediately notice a huge contrast between the two shows. While Wild Things explores outside the boundaries of our imagination, Edifice Complex dives into what can be done inside them. So my favorite part about this exhibit is definitely the dark themes that arise in his photography. Capturing at the different angles that he does, he's able to create this sort of atmosphere in which, there's a dark side as well as a light side.
With both of these exhibits at Houska, we tried to embody our mission to support local artists here in St. Louis, as well as provide something interesting for our clientele. The most important thing for us is to provide a real experience for the viewer, to be able to walk into the door and experience something that they wouldn't see in the outside world, to have a moment in time to experience what creative minds in St. Louis have been working on and doing during the past year. Both of these exhibits will be available for viewing up until January 22nd of 2022. For more information, you can reach us at houskagallery.com.
You can find the stories featured in today's show along with past episodes and more at hecmedia.org/spotlight.
Telephone Museum is basically a history of the telephone dating back from the late 1870s to present. We did it basically to preserve the history of the telephone. This Telephone Museum project was worked on by the Telephone Pioneers of America. It's a group that goes back to 1911. We took on this project back in 2003, and we worked on it for 13 years and opened the museum on May 4th, 2016. We have an 1876 replica of the liquid telephone. We also have a 1900 Chicago Tandem. This would have been the earliest wall phone that we have in the museum that a customer would have had in their home. It's called the Chicago Tandem. The reason they call it a tandem is because it actually houses two batteries, two liquid batteries here, one in here, one in here. The way this operates is you basically crank on the magneto. When you crank on the magneto, it sends an electrical signal down the telephone line, and then the operator would then pick up the call. The operator could be in a central office, or she could be in her home, depending on the size of the company. The phone booths were used back in the day because phones were very expensive for people to have in their homes. The phone booths were actually located all over the place. They were in hotels, they were in drugstores, they were in banks. We have a 1909 pay station that actually has a lead chute inside. That lead chute was actually used to drop coins in. Back in the day, from 1909 up until probably the 60s and 70s, they had an operator listening in. And when you called to make a long-distance phone call, the operator would tell you how much money to deposit in the pay station or eventually into the pay phone. She would listen. So there's actually 3 different coins. The quarter would actually be dropped in. It would actually sound like an old clock, like a dong. The dime would then go down a different chute and hit off the top and bottom of a bell and would go ding ding. The nickel would then go down a different chute and hit off the bottom of the bell and just make a single ding. So that operator clearly heard that you just dropped 40 cents into the pay station or pay phone. Once you put all the money in that she requested, she would then connect the call for you. They used that in 1909 with the gray pay station. They were still using it with the 3-slot pay telephones from the 60s and 70s. It worked just fine. They used the exact same mechanism 60, 70 years later. The Princess phone was the first telephone that Western Electric created with the name. They actually had 300 different name submissions, and they decided on the word Princess because every little girl wanted to have a telephone in her bedroom. So the Princess telephone came out in the early 60s. It was the most popular phone they ever sold. The goal of the Telephone Museum was basically to preserve history. I especially love seeing young people come in because a lot of young people have never seen some of these landline phones that we have. They're only familiar with, say, cell phones. So we just want to basically keep the memory alive so the history of the telephone isn't lost with all this new technology.
Next week is a special edition of Spotlight all about the Regional Arts Commission. Plus, meet the man of many voices, Terry Barber. Thanks for watching Spotlight. Join us next Sunday at 9:30 a.m. on KPLR 11.